41 years since the tragic death of Marilyn Monroe, but her legend lives on and on. She was more than a sort of the 50s screen goddess, going on to become one of Hollywood's best-loved blonde it's a good morning. It was Edward de Bono that put me off my mark. Blonde bombshells dominating the 20th century. So this morning we're going to play tribute to Marilyn with Glenn A. Baker. Glenn, it's great to see you.
Kerry-Ann, it's great to see you too. Well,
I've just had such a terrific morning. We were
you are still buzzing, I can tell.
With Edward de Bono. He was so kind to actually wear the Marilyn Monroe tie. He knew we were theming.
Didn't he? Well, Marilyn would have been 77 had she not died in the middle of 1962. And enormous amount has been written about it. I mean, there's been so many analyses. And one of the wonderful quotes I thought we should start with is that her wiggle, her pout, her husky voice, the object of women's imitation and men's dreams. She exuded breathless sensuality and was at once erotic and wholesome, invitingly real and appealingly funny. And she went on to become the most famous woman of the 20th century. And it is astonishing. She made 30 films, and one of them is that it was a film she made with Ginger Rogers and Cary Grant in 1952. We have a clip of it here. And they said of her, half child, but not the half that shows. And that movie was called Monkey Business, and I think we actually have a little bit of it now.
Oh, my, hasn't technology changed?
Yeah. It was that sort of knowingness and uncertainty, the blend between the two, and the complete unordered nature of her life. I mean, the blonde jokes that do the rounds now actually come from Marilyn Monroe, the way she actually lived her life. But as we're going to discover, there was a lot more to her than that. She personified Hollywood glamour. She was the epitome of it, and she had this unparalleled glow and an energy, and it said that it enamored the world. And look at this. I mean, look at it. Look at her singing "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend." I mean, you could put this in a time capsule and send it into space to be discovered in a few hundred years' time to say this was the middle of the 20th century.
And it is so good. I've seen so many people try and do it. I mean, the song, the dress, the whole stage choreographed thing. I have never seen anybody, when you actually sit and watch this song, the way she does it, nobody's ever been able to do it better.
Indeed, indeed. Well, actually, we're going to pump through this because there's so much great material. But there is another piece we have here of her. She starred in a film in 1953 called How to Marry a Millionaire, because the whole Marilyn sort of, oeuvre was with diamonds, millionaires, mink, pearls, with the whole
and
thing. This is the film with Betty Grable and Lauren
This was on just
a lovely combination of sort of women of their time.
Diamonds, rubies, and all those crazy elephants. This is really living it up, isn't it?
People that live any other way are just crazy.
I wonder who's going to pay for it.
Yeah, how about that?
Well, I'll tell you.
I knew it couldn't let.
Relax, will you, and somebody break open that other bottle.
In uncertainty, her mother was a negative cutter at RKO. She didn't know who her father was. She went into foster homes. She was beaten. She was abused. I mean, she should have been a classic sort of disaster case. Well, some people say she was.
On an emotional level.
On an emotional level, she was. But she married at 16. It seemed to suit everybody's. She married a guy who was 21 years of age. This is a rare photo. And, Jim, Jim O'Shaughnessy he worked in a plant, and he went off to war. And while he was off at war, she became a spray painter in a munitions factory. And a GI photographer spotted her. And he realised that there was something there. He actually he caught a sense of something. Unfortunately, a lot of photographers thought that Marilyn was very photogenic, and for $50, she actually did a nude shoot. The people who put out the calendar of the nude shoot, we're showing the gentle version of it at the moment, made $750,000 out of it. I mean, she was so thoroughly exploited. But in 1954, just a couple of years that she had divorced, and she married baseball legend Joe DiMaggio, an absolute hero in America. And by that time, she was the leading Hollywood screen goddess. So the reaction to the two of them, it was one of those marriages like we saw, sort of nowadays with, most recently with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, the coming together of two
and
hugely...
Bex and Spice Girl.
Exactly. exactly. We saw the footage there. They went on their honeymoon to Tokyo to stage Japan, appeared before some troops, and absolutely just stopped the country. An extraordinary. He loved her so much that after she died, he had flowers delivered to her grave until the end of his life.
I wondered whether that was true. So that is a true story.
Absolutely true. She was actually enamoured of actresses like Lana Turner and...
character actresses.
Yeah, she really... And she actually quietly observed them and learned them. And when she was matched with good directors like Billy Wilder and George Cukor, who also worked with Katharine Hepburn, suddenly she took on sort of another dimension. And there was always a sense that she knew the effect she had on men, the people who worked around with her. That scene in the 7-year itch that Billy Wilder put together for her became, I mean, it appears in posters, in banners, in books. It's just one of those things that has continued on. She took her acting so seriously, she took time off. She went to New York. She enrolled in the Actors Studio with Lee Strasberg. And he introduced her to the American playwright Arthur Miller.
Oh,
Arthur Miller was an intellectual. Thus was another marriage born, an unexpected
now, he's still alive today, and in fact, I'm led to believe he's never ever written about Marilyn.
No,
but I believe he's actually now on the verge of doing something about Marilyn as a final parting gesture. I read that last week.
That could be very interesting. Well, armed with this, you tell us, she went to London with Laurence Olivier. She made The Prince and the Showgirl. I think we have a little bit here. He found her a bit of a trial, did sort of, you know, Lord Larry. He found her a bit difficult. She wasn't quite on his wavelength. But again, it just sort of contributed to this mounting sort of image of her as the woman of the 20th century. But she got back together with Billy Wilder in 1959 and made the greatest film. She won a Golden Globe for the best comedy performance of the year, Some Like It Hot. The all-girl band, Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon dressing as women. And this, I remember seeing this on TV as a kid and wanting to be in that all-girl band, so no matter what I had to do.
As an acclaimed actress, when she really got it right, and she got a Golden Globe for this role, she was good. But
she had discovered sleeping pills and alcohol. And like I said, she led an unordered life. And so for that reason, every step forward, there was 2 steps back. And toward the end, people found it difficult to employ her. She wasn't going to show up on the set. Her husband, Arthur Miller, wrote her a film. And the film he wrote for her was The Misfits. And in retrospect, that actually is a pretty tragic film because the 3 leads, Clark Gable, Marilyn Monroe, and Montgomery Clift...
But he said it wasn't actually about her.
Wasn't it? He wrote it for her. For her,
yeah,
not so much about her. She finished that, like I said, it was Clark Gable's last film. It's now almost a painful film to watch because you realise what happened to the 3 of them.
So then, of course, there were the affairs with the presidents.
And supposedly now with Jerry Lewis, according to him.
But Jerry, and that famous Happy Birthday, Mr. President, which, you know, every blonde's ever taken off when they've been to a party. Sorry, was that only me?
Exactly. May 1962, it was the last performance she ever gave. Madison Square Garden. Now, whether or not she was having affairs with the Kennedys, it doesn't really matter.
Well, Jerry Lewis says she couldn't. I mean,
she was busy with me, which I wondered...
This wonderful scene. How could Jerry Lewis actually come out and say she couldn't have been having those affairs with President because she was too busy with me?
Yeah. I know.
What is he thinking?
An astonishing stroke of arrogance. And, well, time to coincide with it, with the anniversary of her death, I really don't know.
Well, there is a diamond collection of Marilyn's movies and all that sort of stuff available on DVD at the moment, from which we managed to get some of that. But, gee, it's well done. Thank you, Glenn. I was just fascinated. You know, I just found out it was the anniversary of her death, and she'd be 76 today?
77, we worked out. 77. You wonder whether she would have, like Katharine Hepburn, grown old with that sort of, you know,
no,
extraordinary grace.
I think too much emotional baggage.
I think, she carried too much with her. I mean, she was a battered sack of all her sort of, you know, the problems. But she was astonishing. We shall remember her.
Indeed.
As an iconic, truly iconic figure of the 20th century.
Well, you iconic figure, you.
Aren't you a sweet thing?
We'll see you next time. Glenn O'Baker joining us. Okay, still to come on Mornings, fabulous singer-songwriter Graham Connors performs, and we spin the wheel. Stay with us.
How could you bear watching me make a fool of myself?
Here we stand and we argue. What
Alexander
are
Dumas.
we? thinking of.
The Three
Let's
Musketeers.
not make with the baby.
Baker.
Let's make love.
Why do I like you?
You just love.